Bonnie, and it's Thursday, and your tutorial for your card, making your card, using the image I colored on Tuesday, showing you how to do the tight curls. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own slider card. There are many videos on YouTube showing how to do your slider cards, and there are also dies, and I'm sure SVGs to do your own. If you don't have any of those and you want to make one quickly, I will show you how to do that by just cutting it out yourself. So let's get started. Oh, and we're going to be using this image again. It's 577 from Sherri Baldy's Etsy store. So first of all, what you're going to need is your card base. And yes, you can have any size card base and use this technique, but the one that I am doing is a rectangle. And like I said, you will see by using this technique, you can use any card, any shape. You're just going to want to make sure that it works on top of whatever you've started with. Anyway, so I've matted this, and that's a simple thing for you to do. But the one thing you need to remember is the paper that you use, this layer needs to be something you can stamp your sentiment on. So if you use a busy paper, you're not going to be able to see your sentiment, and you'll see what I'm talking about later on in the video. But first I'm going to show you the main part of making your slider card. So I got some paper that is going to again be matted on top of what I've already made. If you can see that, let me pull that up a little bit and you can see the whole card. So that is what's going to fit on. You can see I've already cut it for the slider, but I'm going to show you how I did that. So anyway, this is how it's going to go, and the next thing you need to do is learn how to do the slider. So let's turn the paper over. So what I did was I made a little template. It is a rectangle, and I decided how much space that I wanted on each side. You do need some space here to be able to tape down so that your slider will work. So what I did was I traced this. You can see the space that's involved, and I traced around it. The next thing you have to do is make a little slot at the top, and the reason you have to do that is so that you can have something to make your slider work. So I have already cut this out, and I actually used a metal ruler with a X-Acto knife, and all I did was I cut around it. Now I made my corners down here curved. They can be straight if it makes it easier for you to make your slider. So anyway, that part's done. You only cut what I call the U. This part up here, if you cut it, obviously this whole piece will come off and you won't have your slider. So this piece up here at the top is going to be a fold, and you do not cut it. So remember just to cut the U part, not the very top. The next thing you do is you're going to be making a little slot, like I told you, to make your slider go through. So I was going to see if I could go ahead and pop that off for you because I've already cut it. Yep. So that's going to be my slot. This is my slider. So I'm going to turn this over a minute and show you. All you have to do to make your sliders, like I said, on that fold, you'll be folding this back. You don't want to pull it too hard because you will rip your paper. So that's your first fold. Then all you're going to do is take this piece of paper and fold it in half. Now, some of you are very particular about exact measurements. You can measure that and see where the half is, and then you can crease it that way if you'd like. But this is basically going to be your slider. Pretty simple, like I showed you. It's just basically a U with a little slot up here. And then this will be our slider. I'm going to continue to show you what you do next. So in order to make a slide, I'm going to show you my little template that I made. It's just a piece of paper. But so far I've showed you how to make that U. This is going to be the slider part, and it attaches to the back. And basically it pulls through that little slot, it's like I showed you, and all you do is you pull it and it will slide back and forth for you. You can see this little hole right here, what's going to show up on your card. That's where we're going to put our sentiment, which is why I told you to make sure you had paper you could stamp your sentiment on. So let's get back to what I was showing you. So how do you get the proper size tag to pull through, what you need to do is measure what you've already cut out. That is the exact same width that you're going to need. So I just traced around the bottom of it. So I knew how wide that is, and then I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Now what I did is I used a full 6-inch strip of paper I had. It was a 6x6 piece of paper, and I cut it the width that I wanted that will fit through the slot. It's the same width as this slider. So anyway, the way to attach this to my slider is you fold up about 1/4 of an inch, just like that. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, and then the next thing you do is you take the slider you've already made, and this part right here is going to tape onto this piece right here. But if I do that, you can see how those little white corners, I think you can see that, are going to show. So what I do is I just lay this on top and get my pencil, and if you didn't do curved, you won't have to worry about this at all. If you made it straight, you will not have to do this. But because I curved it, you've got to cut this little bit off so that it won't show when I go to tape it. So I wanted you to see that part first, and you can see how I will need to be cutting that. I think I can do that really quickly for you while I'm taping. You just cut that bit off so it's not going to show. It's all about not showing. And it's just that little curved crease. And like I said, you won't need this if you kept it straight. So the next thing you're going to do after you do that is you take your 1/4 inch or your 1/8 of an inch, whatever you have, double-sided tape. You put that on just like that. You then are going to peel that off to use the tape. Oops, not if it's not going to stick. There we go. And then what you're going to do is it's going to be pulling through this way just to give you an idea. So it has to attach just this way. Sometimes that's a little confusing for people. It's how you line it up. And you know, right now it's not going through that slot, is it? But for me, it's still easier to do it this way and then to string it through. And I can see that I'm going to go ahead and snip that part right there off too. We don't need that. You can see what I'm doing. We don't need that. If it's straight, like I said, corners, not corners, but if it's straight corners, we don't need that. So anyway, there we go. I've got that all set. It's attached to the inside. Let me show you how that looks on the inside too. It went like that, and it's going to fold back over. Okay? So then you just slide that through the slot, not the slot, but the back of the paper. And then what we're going to do is thread this little bit through our slot. And if it doesn't slide, there we go. It just got stuck. So that's going to be our slider. I might have to shim a little bit of that off because this is just a, oh no, there it goes. So that's what it does. It will slide back and forth. That will be your slider. That's how it goes. It'll slide back and forth. If it doesn't slide back and forth really easy, just slightly shim the edges of these, just slightly, and it will work great. Or even better yet, if you wanted to trim back that a little bit more, but I'm not going to do that. This is how we're going to go. And then what will happen is this will get taped on top of our card base, just like that. But one thing you need to really remember when you go to tape this down, you're going to want to tape it all the way around the outside, and then you're also going to want to tape it at least 1/4 of an inch away from your slider. If you tape it close to this, it will not allow it to slide through. So make sure when you put the tape on, and I'll show you, you want to put it right through there. So I'll go ahead and finish that up for you and show you what the tape looks like. All right, so I have all the tape on so you can see what I was talking about. You have to make sure you have the clearance between your slider and your card, but you do want tape along here because as you pull, it'll bend and move all over the place. So that's what you need to do to get to make that work on your card. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the tape off and put it on off camera and show you how it looks. All right, so this is why I told you to use this type of a paper so that you could stamp. I went ahead and just stamped that. I pulled the slider back so I could stamp it, and then I made my sentiment right there. The other thing you're going to want to do is, the end of this is really way too long. So what you do is you can see that it's longer than what you want it to be. If you want to just cut it straight across, I would just add about 1 inch from where your slot is to that point, and I would just cut it straight across. Then you can add a ribbon. I'm going to try to do something different than what most people do in your videos, and I'm going to pull this all the way out. And I have a Martha Stewart punch, and all I'm going to do is, in order for me to see that I have it centered, is I'm going to turn it over upside down. Like I said, I know by my little crease how far down I can go, and it's gonna, I think, gonna be exactly where I want it to be. So I'm lining this paper up so it's centered, if you can see that, and then I'm just gonna punch it. And that's gonna be the end pull for my slider. And of course it's not gonna go really great. There it goes for me on the camera there. So that's what it looks like. And if I pull it back down, that's what's going to show up there at the top. So I could actually put a sentiment there, or I can put any decoration. Well, I can put any decorations there because it's not going to make any difference at all. I can still put ribbon coming out of the top. I can decorate that any way I want to. So when it's open, it's going to be like that. And my image is going to be sitting on here. I will complete my card and show you what it looks like. I just wanted you to see how you can make your own slider. You can make your own slider card. Okay, so I'm going to finish showing you how I decorated my card. And first of all, I'm going to say this is a Sizzix die, butterfly die that I cut out twice. And then I did adjust this a little bit. I actually trimmed it and made it a little bit shorter. Even though I showed you the other way, I wanted you to see the adjustment. And when I did that, there was a little bit of rough edges here, so it would get caught up in my slot. So I put washi tape across it. So there was a way to make that work no matter what I did. Otherwise, you can keep it long like I showed you to begin with. Still have my sentiment sitting there. I added some flowers and a few Martha Stewart leaves. So the next thing that I wanted to really show you is how I put I attached my image to this slider. You can see right here there's a crease. Let me make sure you can see the crease. Okay, so there's the crease. The deal is you cannot put any tape back here. If you do, your slider won't work. You can only put tape on this part right here. Or in this case, because I have an oval, I ended up putting my image on an oval. I put the tape on the back side, because if I put the tape across here, you're going to see it on the outside of my oval. So I've got my image all ready to go onto my card. And like I said, I already measured to know where that's going to be. And so I've got that, making sure I have that lined up with my card. She's going to go ahead and sit right there. And that's what the card will look like when the slider is not pulled. And I also, because you can add embellishments to the slider here, so when it's closed, it looks like this is all one arrangement. But when I go to pull the slider, the little flower comes with her. And that's what the card looks like when it's standing up. I will have pictures of her where you can see her a little bit better. But that's how the slider works. And I just wanted you to see how you attached it so that you would know how to finish doing it. You just push it back down and she's ready to be mailed in an envelope, bubble envelope. So again, I want to remind you, please comment and share and subscribe so you can see the videos each week that the design team wants to share with you. Thank you so much.